Welcome to our lovely future humans, our 5D collective. To those who do know, who owns a room between steady presence versus grandiosity, but also who real leaders identify with, or better said, how they know what they embody. Because the part of what makes it a trick question, do you think leaders identify with steady presence or grandiosity, is the aspect of those who were modeled it. So a person who was modeled grandiosity, a no sensitivity chip, basically a walled off, and that's where we have our walled offs or our super sensitive. In both equations, it's a lack of self-regulation. So when I'm seeing like these ads on YouTube lately with she brought a homemade cake to the office, and they're actually teasing a human being, woman, who's bringing a cake made from home. And then they're saying, here, we're going to give you a 12-minute way to learn how to speak, and don't say, I think, I'm sorry, maybe, that's amazing. No, it's not. Actually, as a marketer, I find it quite fascinating, and as a epistemically curious, self-regulating human being, that's why our topics are a bit twofold. I make fun of the ones who buy into this shit, and then I try to say enlightenment involves, as a mystic, remember, not being, I wasn't believed when I told my loved ones of twin flames and did that. So anyways, leaders, like real leaders, they know that the ones who are absent of interest of the relational joy of all people's feelings, they have a no sensitivity chip somewhere. So we leave it alone because they don't have steady presence, they just have words. Walk a walk and talk a talk. So let me share with you something that those who are listeners don't necessarily read. It's on Substack, on LinkedIn, and for those who are on YouTube and on Spotify, if you're seeing me, I believe we chit-chat a little bit about some of these aspects, but I could be wrong. So number one, the core of steady presence. I'm going to give you 3 key takeaways from the steady presence, a true leader's choice in 2026 and moving forward. And as a mystic, let me tell you, the 5D collective of mystics hold down the fort. All people who are restorative, embodied, self-aware, accountable, regulating. So people who care about each other's emotions hold down the fort. We enjoy journaling and mindset practices because we own our somatic resource, and we enjoy our mental work because we enjoy thinking. So your nervous system sovereignty is why you're not afraid of life. It's also why pain isn't the motivator. Pain is actively the deterrent. Yeah, so people who are comfortable with gratification, they're comfortable with the dopamine stuff, that we all have dopamine, but they get comfortable with a specific type of addictions and numbing and suppression and the minimum energy mode because they're comfortable in safety, which means being walled off. They have no interest in relational joy because they actively don't care about other people's emotions, but that's because someone modeled that to them, and their first 3 years of life matter. And they don't care to hear it because they'll say, I found it hard to believe. And that's how epistemically lazy people do it. But furthermore, how people who don't love themselves first do it. And you can't make dysregulated people understand the logic because they already said, my first 3 years of life don't mean anything to why I'm behaving the way I am. And actually, I'm within my right and blah, blah. Anyways, minimum energy mode, people have a bunch of ways to continue defending that which their nervous system feels comfortable with. Protection. We're comfortable with presence. That's why motivation, pain, no. Actively deterrent. So once you understand how it works, emotionally unavailable human beings, men and women and all, doesn't matter if you're a mystic with 3 or 100 twin flames, you won't be tested by anyone. You'll be okay. So here's what grandiosity looks like, children. And even the ones who say they don't have it, here's what you want to watch for. If they care about your feelings and if they know how to handle every single bit of all emotionally immature people, the way lovely therapy nutshell lady taught us with her colleague. I didn't need any of the teaching, but she does a really great job. So thanks to our scientists today, all of humanity continues to evolve and expand. And again, we don't shame out of people because they actively were already shamed, abandoned, rejected, humiliated, unjustly and justly treated. And when it comes to, there's some more, hold on. Yeah, rejection, abandonment, humiliation, betrayal, injustice. So if they don't heal those core wounds, they're going to continue to protect themselves from it. So leaving it to anyone that wants to stay in what can be called the old paradigm one day, but really we have flat earthers, so go tell Neil deGrasse. Thanks, Neil. I love you, man. They probably prove that you were wrong again. So leadership, it is an internal state. Number one, true power is about maintaining regulation regardless of the environment, in case you're in a rush. Two, sovereignty is a practice. It is a repeatable, intentional skill, not a personality trait. And three, leadership is a legacy act. So it is about building for the future through emotional maturity and relational integrity. As true leaders, we are aware about mastering our own presence, and that is in any circumstance. So if you are curious about the entire article where I share a little bit more on this, check it out on Substack or LinkedIn. But to give you the gist of it here, it is when you are able to use your nervous system, you pivot to that sense of safety, that stability, and that unwavering depth. And in a room, you're the one who will be able to, with a steady presence, not only share a rest and rejuvenate, vent your energy, but also be aware that in front of you, the ones who are with the walled off grandiosity, minimum energy mode, they have not only dopamine loops, their interest in gratification means that they lack the capacity to consistently motivate themselves in specific ways, that instead for those who are of a ventral energy stance, it's completely different, because your prefrontal and your flow state, they're just amazing. So that's the part of why we benefit from journaling and mindset practices and interacting with our entire community. And so you better bet that in a room, grandiosity might silence because they will have sympathetic, but they won't be silencing a person who has a steady presence in the way they think. In fact, they're used to people either chasing them down or being afraid of them, or basically they're not even going to notice themselves. Well, for the ones who have the steady presence, it's I own who I am with my nervous system, with my mental capacity to know when I'm presented with mannerisms that were taught, and those are dysregulated, thanks to the smart scientists who are giving us the explanation. So in any given moment, from a place of relational integrity, leaders bring forth steadiness, ease, and the ventral energy that allows everyone to rest and rejuvenate. Those who don't notice, it won't even matter, but those who will notice are the kids that learn from all of us. So the duty of a leader, it's to prepare, no, it's to encourage, strengthen, support, and challenge in a effective and good way all of those who have pain and fear just like we do. Difference is with love, you strengthen. A third attunement, repairing rupture. So that continues not only from childhood, but all the way into adulthood. And so for generations to come, it's thanks to those committed to our higher human consciousness potential, those who are true leaders, that we support our lovely species. And we will be back with more. But in the meantime, I have to go. The bell rang.